Standard time. I'm Tony Zappia, the Chair of the Public Works Committee of the Federal Parliament, and I declare open this public hearing of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Works for the inquiry into the Attorney-General's Department proposed fit-out of existing leased premises at 3 to 5 National Circuit, Barton, Australian Capital Territory. The committee's role as defined in the Public Works Act is 1969 is to consider and report on the purpose and need for the proposed works, the most effective use of public money that can be made in carrying out the works, and the present and prospective public value of the proposed works. In accordance with the Committee's resolutions of the 31st of July 2025, this hearing will be broadcast on the Parliament's website, and the proof and official transcripts of proceedings will be published on the Parliament's website. I also remind members of the media who may be present or listening on the web of the need to fairly and accurately report the proceedings of the Committee. As I said, I'm Tony Zappia, Member for Macon and Chair of the Public Works Committee. Now, we've got some of the other members. Perhaps I'll let them each introduce themselves, starting with the Deputy Chair. Andrew?
Thank you, Chair. Andrew Wilcox, Deputy Chair and Member for Dawson.
Maria?
I'm Maria Kovacic, Liberal Senator for New South Wales.
Tanya?
Thank you, Federal Member for Hasluck for the Government, Tanya Lyon. Thank you.
Thank you. I remind committee members participating via chorus call to mute their microphones when not speaking and to give their name each time they speak to assist witnesses and Hansard. Committee members and participants are reminded not to take another call or put their phones on hold during the chorus call, as this may cause interference with the teleconference. I now call witnesses from the Attorney-General's Department and for the Hansard record, would each of you please state your full name and the capacity in which you appear?
Thank you, Chair. It's Mr. Scott Sharp. I'm the Acting Chief Operating Officer at the moment of the Department.
Mrs. Jacqueline Sterling, Director Workplace AGD and Canberra Facilities, Attorney-General's Department.
Thank you.
Mr. Darryl Adam, Assistant Secretary, Property and Security, Attorney-General's Department.
Thank you.
Mr. John Dowse, Contracted Consultant Project Manager to the Department.
Thank you.
Mr. James Ossington, Executive Director at WT Partnership.
Thank you. Although the committee doesn't require you to give evidence under oath, I should advise you that these hearings are formal proceedings of the Parliament. Consequently, they warrant the same respect as proceedings of the Parliament itself. Giving false or misleading evidence is a serious matter and may be regarded as contempt of Parliament. I now invite you, Mr. Sharp, or one of your colleagues, to make a brief opening statement before we proceed to questions.
Thank you, Chair. And first of all, thank you very much to you all for finding time for this hearing. We much appreciate being squeezed in before Christmas and hopefully allow us to proceed in a timely manner to realise the vision of a consolidated Canberra footprint for the Department, which will reduce costs, our excess workspace, and improve that collaboration and integration of our staff. I thought it might just be useful to give a very brief outline of AGD's role. So, the Department supports the Attorney as the first law officer of the nation. Our primary functions are the provision of legal advice through our Australian Government Solicitor, Office for International Law and Office for Constitutional Law. We also do a lot of legal and social policy advice, and we've got some regulatory functions. I think that's important to just note that whilst the Department has frequent interactions with stakeholders, we're actually not a frontline service delivery sort of agency, so our office footprints reflect the nature of the work and our interactions with stakeholders. The only other things that I just thought would be useful to raise as part of the opening statement was to note that our 6th National Circuit lease ceased 2 weeks ago, which is part of this, so we have given up that space at the moment. And also to note that we will be shortly taking control of some additional space on the ground floor of 3 to 5 National Circuit. The existing childcare centre that was there is closing just before Christmas, and the landlord approached us as to whether or not we would take that space. So we'll be taking a small amount of space on the ground floor, which gives us control of the entire building, and we've got a small lease incentive for this space, so it doesn't impact negatively on the costings were provided to you previously. We had some knowledge this might be happening, so our costings have included the fit out of that space already. And just to note, we have been consulting significantly across government and with our staff in the lead up to today's hearing, but delighted to take questions from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. And I think we've also been joined by another colleague, Ash Famibar from New South Wales, a member for Barton. Ash,
Thanks,
are you
Chair.
on the line?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Firstly, can I thank all of the witnesses for the private briefing that we had earlier on. I think it's given us a bit of a glimpse as to what is proposed and therefore a better understanding of what is proposed, which will be helpful in the questions we might ask. I'm going to kick off with just one question, maybe two at most, and then hand over to my colleagues. But in the briefing, we were told that there's about 1,700 staff that currently work in the department. And so my question is twofold. Firstly, are the new premises capable of taking on additional staff if the need arises? In other words, is there a room for expansion? And secondly, in the current offices, I understand each staff member have their own desk. In the new building or in the new arrangement, there'll be a lot of hot desking. How many staff members will continue to have their own desk versus those who will be hot desking? That's my two questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. So at the moment we have around 1,700 staff in the Canberra region. The plan at the moment would have 1,300 plus desks in our office, 3 to 5 National Circuit. We have found that at any point in time, we never have 1,700 staff at work. A number will be on leave, etc. at any point in time. So realistically, 80 to 90% of people actually being at work is what we see in practice. As you said, at the moment, the majority of our staff in Canberra already share desk space. So that's been a practice for a little while now. And we have been allocating desks to areas on a ratio of about 8 to 9 desks per 10 people, which has worked successfully so far. However, I would note we have a number of staff who require to work full-time or almost full-time in the office, or staff who have specific needs
so
with their
what are the
desk set
numbers?
up. So I will pass to Darryl if he actually has those numbers, Mr. Adam.
I don't have the exact numbers of those who have an allocated work point, but it is probably at the moment around 20 or 25% of our staff who would attend the office more regularly. At the moment, we've got some capacity in our building, more capacity to facilitate more people having their own desk. When we move to the new arrangements, there'll be fewer people, but it will be managed through a desk booking system. Sorry, Chair.
I get all that. I want the figures. So you reckon there's about 25% of the 1,700 that currently have their personal workspace, their own desk. Is that what we're being told?
Chair, I would think that there's 20 or 25% who attend the office on 4 or 5 days a week, and under our arrangements they would be provided an allocated desk. I think at present there'd be more like probably 60% of our staff who would use the same desk each day because we have the capacity in the building for them to use that space.
Right. And the new floor space, do you have any flexibility if the workforce was to grow to accommodate in the building, or would you then have to look outside of the building?
So at the moment, Senator, we have, I think 49% of our workspaces on average are free at any point in time, which is one of the key reasons why we wish to undertake these works. At that, we estimate will probably be about 70% occupancy in the building, which still leaves us significant ability to grow. And the way that we would typically grow is through machinery of government changes. Historically, we've had significant amounts of staff coming from other departments. We've actually had property come with it. So the most recent example of that would have been when we had the industrial relations function within the department. We actually inherited some additional building space with those people moving in. We just have to deal with that as and when it arose, but within the projected size of the department, the 3 to 5 footprint will be sufficient and has capacity for moderate growth as necessary.
Okay, thank you. Andrew, I'll hand over to you and then we'll go to the other members.
Thanks very much, Chair. Thank you, panel. So this is the first time since I've been doing this, I've been requested to have an upgrade of a facility that's, or refit upgrade to something that's only 15 years old, I'll be totally honest. So can you tell me what is the main reason for the upgrade and what promoted it?
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. So the main reason for the upgrade is twofold. One is in terms of our current occupancy rates in the Canberra footprint. We had 3 offices and they are 51% utilised, which doesn't make a huge amount of fiscal sense to us, but also it's a really good opportunity for us to bring our AGS colleagues across the road from 4 national circuit to 3 to 5 national circuit. They were part of a machinery of government change after we'd first entered the building at 3 to 5 national circuit and have never been integrated in the same workspace. We see some real synergies in having our colleagues all in the same building, as well as making better use of our footprint and better use of taxpayers' money by consolidating that footprint. So 1, financial, and 2, consolidating our teams together instead of having a road to cross.
Thank you. So can you just, for the record, what are the savings of this amalgamation? What are the savings bringing this together on an annual basis?
So we'd estimated there'll be around $4.5 million per annum in rent costs that we will save by not having our footprints in 4 national circuit and 6 national circuit.
So 4.5 million in savings per annum?
Yep.
And what's your estimate for the record for this fit out?
The estimate fit out is about $39.9 million.
And let's talk about the longevity of this.
Yep.
So this fit out, what time frame are you thinking that this fit out will last?
So at this point in time, our existing lease runs out to 2036, which would be 11 years. However, we do anticipate that this fit out will outlast the length of the lease. Obviously, we'll need to make a commercial decision in 11 years' time. But even in the short term, when we look at the minimum lease savings, over the life of the lease, we'll still make a saving on this one, Senator.
All right, thank you. And so there is some options in the lease as well?
There are indeed. There are 2 options in the lease of 5 years each.
And are they, are they your option or the landlord's option?
They are our option.
Okay. All right. And with the working from home trend, I know we're bringing more people together for the amalgamation.
Yep.
Across. Has this fit out catered for that?
Yes, Mr. Wilcox. Part of the fit out is driven partly by the occupancy numbers we're seeing as a result of working from home, and therefore that has driven some of the current utilisation rates. Within the fit out, we will be providing a range of options. So as we discussed earlier with the chair, some people will get permanent desks from the office regularly. Those working from home will have desks allocated by neighbourhoods, and there will be some desk sharing happening to facilitate that, which is consistent with how we currently operate within most of the department.
Okay. And last question, what was your process for making sure that this was a value for money approach?
Thank you. So as part of making sure this was value for money, in my day job as CFO, Mr. Wilcox, we looked at the numbers to ensure that what we were planning to do stacked up. $4.5 million per annum of minimum savings is a good starting point. Obviously, there's additional costs on top of that that we haven't captured in that number. That's purely just the rent. We do anticipate that we will be in there for 11 years. It's being funded through existing reserves and the leasehold incentive. So as well as making financial sense, it makes operational sense and cultural sense for us to bring our teams together. So we've considered all that, and we think this is the best path forward here in the current circumstances.
Appreciate that, being a CFO, and I fully appreciate you're talking about like $4.5 million saving, and well done for that. But obviously 5 is better, and 6 is better, and 7 is better than that. And, you know, we've got lots of competing priorities here for fit outs.
Yep.
So I just really need to make sure that you've drilled down and done everything you possibly can to provide the value for the taxpayer.
Yep. So that's certainly the case. My 4.5 is my conservative estimate. As I said, we also are in discussions with portfolio bodies to try and bring them in as well. So that would further consolidate some of the space in Canberra, so that our smaller portfolio bodies aren't paying for office space they don't need as well. That's something that will hopefully come down the line. We have had our colleagues and consultants make sure that the costs of this make sense as well, which is why they're here. And in the private session, I'm sure we can go into that in a little bit more detail. You know, we will be approaching the market to make sure we get best value for money out of the various service providers as we do it. So we are approaching this from a very fiscally responsible way, and we'll continue to do so.
Thank you. And what was the total cost for the consultant?
Do that one, Jack?
Yeah, the consultants' costs are included, apportioned to the 39.93. If you just give me 1 minute, I'll just go to which particular consultant would you be after?
Oh, I'm happy for all of the consultants if you want to add them together.
I can do that if you just give me a couple of minutes. Can we go to another question and I'll come back to that, if that's okay?
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
End of my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm going to go to Tanya and then Maria and then Ash. So Tanya, you're next.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I think largely my questions were asked in the private session, but I am still, I guess I just want assurance that the staff are comfortable, and I know we've kind of touched on this already around the hot desking arrangements, but I know that there's existing models of these hybrid models around the country with the agency. I know that there's a lot of conversations going on between how it's working with other agencies, but that's not my question. My question is, are they happy with it? Like, is the majority of staff through your surveys happy with this new arrangement, proposed new arrangement?
Thank you for the question. I'll let Mr. Adam answer that, but at the high level, the answer has been, from our work to date, yes.
Yep. Yes, that's correct. We've received mainly positive feedback through our engagement process. The shared desk arrangements are linked to people's individual choice for flexibility, and we're currently applying those across the country anyway, in similar to what we will be doing in 3 to 5 NC. So it's not a new concept for many of our staff, and our staff do embrace the ability to work flexibly and understand some of the changes that come with that flexibility.
And how many of the staff currently, like as a percentage, would have offices?
So at the moment, the only staff that have offices are our SES at the moment, and then within AGS, there is additional built space due to the nature of their work. So they share additional built space for when they're doing quiet, reflective lawyer work, and that will vary depending who's in the offices.
And is that will that carry over in the new refit?
So as part of the new refit, we will continue to build for each working group, division, according to their needs. That will mean that some areas will have additional built space, additional offices. It means others will have additional access to secure facilities. So we will continue to ensure that we build spaces that work for the type of work our staff do. And that will mean some people have some additional office space if that's what they need to do their work successfully.
And and I appreciate it's about, thinking about the work, but I just don't want us to lose sight of the fact that we're humans, right? We have dedicated needs about, obviously, around collaboration spaces. I think that's well understood, and I think it's well designed into the process. But I also am very aware that people do need spaces where they can concentrate, where they can have a sense that of permanency, like there's some certainty when they turn up to work, they know where they're going, they don't have to be in a constant state of flux as to where I'm going to be sitting today, where are my papers, I put my papers, and I appreciate you're probably just trying to remove papers. So I just want to make sure that we're factoring in for every person within the demographic of the workforce, that we're not trying to alienate them from a workspace. And I'm just still not fully sold that a hybrid model of this nature is serving the interests of the people who actually have to do the work. It's like the SES, they're all going to still have their offices, right?
So yes, our SES tend to be in the office 5 days a week. So when we're allocating...
Right. So there's people making the decisions about the hot desking and not actually going to be affected themselves. So clear it.
So anybody who has a need to be in the office 5 days a week will be given a permanent desk. That's how we currently operate, and that's how we intend to operate moving forwards. Likewise, people who are in the majority of the time are given an allocated work point as well. And we are not moving to a full sort of hot desking model. We will continue to have people sitting in neighbourhoods with flexibility, so people will know where they're sitting with their colleagues, and the individual areas can assign desks as they see fit. I can hand across to my colleague Mrs Sterling, who can talk a little bit more about the different spaces that will be available to ensure people can do their work effectively and pleasantly.
Thank you, Mr Sharp. Jacqueline Sterling, Director of Workplace AGD. Just to provide some additional context on increased flexibility in terms of the new fit out. So the proposed works will increase our total enclosed spaces. So that is a variety of really small rooms up to meeting rooms from 225 to 312. Many of which, so the vast majority of those will be bookable and available for those to use.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about meeting rooms. I'm talking about individual workstations. So no, I know the design will definitely accommodate the collaborative workspaces. I get all that. It's my concern is that the mental health of turning up to work, not knowing, and you've told me that no, for people who turn up to work, they can have a dedicated workstation. I'm not sure how that works with the numbers. Given the 1,700 staff versus the number of desks that will be available in the 1,300s, I think you were saying, plus additional people potentially coming in and growth. But anyway, you've done the study, everyone's overwhelmingly excited, that's fine. I just wanted to test that because I frankly would think that there'll be people who would find it concerning, and I just do not want to see any, issues around retention of staff that are absolutely critical to the functioning of our public service.
Yeah, and we likewise, the intent of this is to get people to want to be in the office more and to work collaboratively. As I said, we have been using a neighbourhood style system for a while. We haven't seen any increase in attrition rates because of that, and our feedback we've had throughout our consultation with our staff and more generally has been relatively positive around the current working environment. So it's not been something that's been raised as a significant concern with us as part of this project. And I think a lot of that is because we're already doing a lot of this as it is and doing it relatively well.
Thank you, Chair.
Questions? Maria, do you have any
Thank
questions?
you. I do have a couple of questions. My first question comes off the back of the series of questions that were just asked by the previous member, and it's in relation to this consultation. Could you tell me, and you talk about relatively positive, but this has sort of sparked some interest for me, have you received submissions or concerns from employees that are actually saying, I'm worried that I won't be able to have a regular desk? Has that been some of the concern that has been raised with you? Because you have at one point earlier on, we were told that 60% can use the same desk, so that's fine. So we've got 40% of people who can't use the same desk. Of those 40%, have you had, are you able to tell us how many concerns were raised? But you also said, somebody also said 49% of desks are free at any single time. So that sort of doesn't match up with the previous number. Can you sort of drill down into that information a little bit more for me so I can have an understanding of how many people that want permanent desks might not be able to have them, and how many desks are sort of sitting there in a pool of desks that are hot desks that actually could be allocated to people as a permanent desk?
Yeah. So the number earlier, the 49% free, is based on the number of people actually in our office on any given day. So on average, of the 1,300 desks we have in the office, on average, 650 of them are vacant on any given day. So a subset of the people that are coming into the office have an allocated desk, which is where we're talking about the 40-60 split at the moment, which is why at the moment, in terms of across our office footprint, we really aren't seeing too much pressure on people being able to sit at a desk they want. Most of the time, people can find a desk. It's usually the same desk that they've sat in every other day. The change will bring us to sort of about a 70% occupancy. So that means there'll be an increased likelihood that some people can't sit in the same desk every day, but there is still hundreds of free desks in the building, and we allocate them at that neighbourhood level. So people, even though they're not on the exact same desk, are in the same area beside the same colleagues, have that continuity at the moment. But it's part of the flexibility of people working from home. Don't automatically get the same desk, but when they are in the office, the aim is to bring our teams together in a collaborative way so we can work together. So that's where the numbers come from. So it's about the current occupancy, gives us that 49% free, and then of the people in the office, it's about 60-40 in terms of people with an allocated desk and people who are just coming in 2, 3, 4 days a week and just using a desk that's there in their neighbourhood.
So have you had feedback in that consultation from people who are there those 3 or 4 days a week rather than 5, who would like to have an allocated desk but are unable to have an allocated desk? And I guess what's confusing for me is if you've got 600 free desks and someone wants to have the same desk, why can't they? That doesn't make sense to me.
And we don't prevent them having it at this point in time using the same desk. It's dealt with at a local level if somebody's in and they've got enough desks. Certainly within my team, most of my team use the same desk every day they're in the office.
But it's not allocated to them. Somebody else can use it.
Somebody else can use it when they're not there. Yes, and that's the general model we take. And as part of our consultation, I'm not aware of any feedback saying that people are finding that problematic. And I said anybody that needs a desk for reasons of any injuries or anything we need to look after, they get an allocated desk and proper WHS setup as well. So we don't have that level of pressure on our desks at the moment, and whilst we'll get more occupancy with the move, we don't think that will be a significant problem for us either.
Okay, thank you. Looking at the construction costs, just under $40 million ex GST, and we've got savings of about $4.5 million per annum. Is that correct? That's what we've been told from the move.
Yep.
So that's almost 9 years to recover the cost of the construction from the savings, if we look at it from that lens. Are you able to give us a sense of what other anticipated savings there might be from the move? Somebody mentioned earlier that there could be others.
Yep.
Just a general sense of in what areas could those savings be?
Yeah, so we anticipate additional savings. So the number we have provided of $4.5 million is basically just the rent. So that doesn't include property maintenance costs on top of the 2 other leases we held. It doesn't include the outgoings on those. It doesn't include the maintenance of security in those buildings as well. So they're actually a reasonable size. They're just a little bit harder to neatly capture for the purposes of a headline figure. We also will seek, where possible, if we have additional space, to make that available to the portfolio. So whilst the department won't necessarily save money, some of our portfolio bodies will not need to have small offices of their own in Canberra, they'll just use ours. So the actual broader portfolio in Commonwealth will make a bit of a saving on rent, outgoings, etc. in that space as well. So we anticipate that we'll get more than $4.5 million per annum of savings. We just need to work through what that looks like precisely. But as part of the rationale for us going ahead with this is that even at the baseline 4.5, it'll pay back in 9. In reality, we'll get the return on investment much quicker than that.
Okay, thank you. That's all from me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Maria. Ash, are you on the line? And if so, do you have any questions?
I don't have any further questions, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, can I just go back to a couple of the issues that have been pursued by the other members? How many days a week can staff work from home? Are they allowed to work every day?
So at the moment, our policy is that staff can work 3 days per week at home. It's actually, the policy is actually 6 days a fortnight, but 3 days a week. And then beyond that, they need to get specific approval at SES level for that. And you'll see that our numbers of about 51% occupancy would suggest that people are going about half and half.
Going about half and half.
Yep.
So you, what do you mean by half and half?
People about
some are working. Sorry.
So I mean that people are working, generally in the office slightly more than 4 days a fortnight. Okay.
Has there been a trend? I know with your department, it's relatively new because you said in the old buildings that everyone had their own desk. But do you know from your inquiries whether there's been a trend of staff working more from home when their workplace only allows hot desking? In other words, if they don't have their permanent offices, does that tend to cause more employees to work from home? Is anyone able to answer that?
It's Daryl Adam, Assistant Secretary, Property and Security. We've already got these shared arrangements in place in many of our offices.
Right.
When we introduced them, we didn't see a particular trend towards people choosing to work more at home. As Mr. Sharp said before, our intention is to build spaces that people want to come in and work at, and also collaborate with colleagues and do the other things that we need them to do at work. So we haven't seen, in our department, a particular trend where people are choosing to work more at home because they don't have an allocated desk in the office. I should also... Sorry, Chair.
Yep. No, go on.
I should also add that the neighbourhood that Mr. Sharp was talking about, it's allocated by team, so it's not the traditional hot desk model where you need to find a desk somewhere in the building. It's much more confined to team, and it's supplemented by a pretty innovative desk booking system that people can only book the desks within their neighbourhood, and so there's a lot more sense of the type of space that's available to them before they come into the office.
No, okay. No, thanks for that. Now, you said earlier on that with your consultation with the staff, it was mainly positive feedback. What sort of issues did you get from those who weren't positive about it? Was it just the hot desking arrangement, or were there any other issues that arose?
So I'll pass to Ms Stirling on this, but actually the hot desking wasn't top of the list of concerns. Actually, the things that staff are more concerned about are the things that we are seeking to deal with as part of this project. So I'll hand to Ms Stirling, who can give you the headlines from that.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. So the key areas, Chair, that were highlighted in the staff survey and engagements were insufficient enclosed meeting spaces was highlighted as a concern, poor acoustic performance of existing spaces, so that's both in the open plan work areas and the enclosed spaces, and a strong desire for improved technology and AV capability, which obviously supports the hybrid working arrangements.
Sorry, are those concerns relating to the proposed fit out?
Those concerns were raised in relation to the existing fit out and have provided us us with the incentive in terms of our design for the proposed fit out to rectify those challenges.
Okay. All right. Well, look, I don't know that I've got any other questions with respect to the public hearing. I've got a couple to do with the in-camera hearing. Any members of the committee have any other questions?
Sorry, Chair. I think I was still waiting on some numbers to come back to me about the consultants.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, you were. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Mrs. Jacqueline Sterling here. Just to confirm, in terms of the PwC total project cost of 39.93, of that approximately $3.5 million is made up of all consultant costs. That includes designers, engineers, quantity surveyors, project managers, access consultants, etc.
Well, thank you for that.
No problem, thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. All right. With that, unless any of the witnesses have any further comment to make, you can do so now. If I don't hear anything in the next couple of seconds, I'm going to thank you for your participation in today's hearing. I don't think there were any other questions asked because you answered Mr. Wilcox's question. But if there is any other questions from us, we'll put them to you in writing. You will be sent a copy of the transcript of your evidence to the committee today. And again, if you wish to make any transcription changes to that, please contact the Secretariat. With that, I declare this public hearing closed and we'll convene in just over 5 minutes for the in-camera hearing.